Hey guys, John here. I'm actually brewing today, so I decided to make a video. Today I'm doing the Evil Twin recipe that Jake CPU Nut did a video on like a couple of weeks ago. And sorry, I just got through mashing in, so I've been moving around pretty good lately. Actually, we're about 35 minutes into the mash. My sparge water is up to temp, so it's ready to go. We've only lost a couple of degrees over the course of the 30 or 40 minutes that it's been in the mash, so I'm actually not going to do anything to it, which is actually kind of weird. I'm actually happy we've only lost, we've lost like 2.5 degrees, because it's like 30 degrees here right now. It's really, really cold. I'm in the garage and it's still in probably the mid 30s at the best inside this garage, so I'm actually really happy about that. It doesn't look like we're going to lose more than maybe 4 degrees over the course of the mash, which I'm happy with. That'll be fine, because the majority of the mash I am at around the temperature that I want to mash at, so dropping at the end below that won't be a big deal for me. Today we're doing the Evil Twin recipe, like I said. It's a hoppy American ale, a late hop American amber ale. And the only tweaks I really made to it, Jake had to make some substitutions, I think, for because of he couldn't get some of the grains. I was able to get all of the grain, so I'm doing basically the exact recipe. The only difference is I bumped it up to 7 gallons because of the pickup tube in my mash tun. I leave it behind just under a gallon, so I want to have 6 gallons go into the fermenter. So I need to have 7 gallons at the end of the boil. So that's the reason I bumped the recipe up a gallon. You can look up the recipe at mrmalty.com. It'll have all of the actual recipe, which is basically the recipe I think Jake used. But I just bumped it up to keep the percentages the same, and to make sure that I got the 1066 gravity reading that I wanted. So here's my recipe. It's 14 pounds of Maris Otter, 1 pound 3.2 ounces of Crystal 40, 1 pound 3.2 ounces of Munich II 8.5 Lovabond from Weirmann, 9.6 ounces of Victory Malt, 9.6 ounces of Crystal 120, and 5.6 ounces of Pale Chocolate Malt. The hopping schedule is exactly the same as you see on the website. I'll give it to you now. A half ounce or 14 grams each of Centennial and Amarillo, 1 ounce or 28 grams each. The half ounce each is at 20 minutes. At 10 minutes, I do an ounce each of Amarillo and Centennial, and at flame out, I do 1 ounce of Amarillo and Centennial each. So it's exactly the same. My IBUs, oddly enough, came out to just slightly above what the calculated recipe was on Mr. Malty. I got 29.6 versus 23.8 on the website, so I'm not going to mess with it too much. I think that's pretty good. So anyway, I'm not messing with the recipe too much. Like I said, I only bumped it up to make sure that the gravity came out the same, and that I got the same percentages for all of the different malts. We have it's a late hop beer. There are no 60-minute or 30-minute additions for this beer. It's late hopped, and the reason behind, or at least the theory behind late hopping, is that you get a much smoother bitterness, lower bitterness, granted, but a much smoother bitterness from late hops that are increased in amount from what you would normally put late in the boil, and but you get, in turn, you get a much larger hop flavor and aroma from them. You still get bitterness because they're still isomerizing. They don't isomerize as long. But you don't get like IPA level hopping with this recipe, I don't think. I think that you're going to get a very hoppy beer. It's going to taste very hop flavor. You're going to get a good hop flavor and an intense hop aroma. But you're not going to get nearly the bitterness, specifically the sharp bitterness that you tend to get with these citrusy hops with 60-minute additions. The goal for me with this late hopping is to produce that. I don't like a real sharp bitterness in my beers. I like a smooth, mellow kind of bitterness that just balances the beer out. I think if you wanted to do a late hopping IPA, you could. I don't think there's any problem with that. You just have to increase the hops. Like in this recipe, you just take and maybe bump the IBUs up on the 20-minute edition instead of doing like a half ounce each. Do an ounce each. Do an ounce each of Centennial and Amarillo. That'd give you probably in the neighborhood of 25 IBUs from that charge. If you were to take and do bump the 10-minute edition up to, I don't know, instead of an ounce each, do it like an ounce and a half each. That would give you probably, another probably a 15 to 20 IBUs. And I'm just calculating this off the top of my head, so I don't know, probably 15 or 20 IBUs, I would think, an ounce and a half each of those. And then at flame out, again, you're going to do the same thing, do like an ounce and a half each. And what you're going to get is a really intense hop aroma and flavor. And you're still going to get some good bitterness from that increased volume of hops. The flame out hops don't have any calculated IBUs, but the theory is that they do contribute some IBUs in that hot whirlpool afterwards. That it's still moving, it's still at above 190 degrees where hops isomerize. So you're still going to get some hop bitterness from them. They just don't have a real good idea of how to calculate that yet, I guess. So they don't mess with it. They don't use that as a calculable amount. I personally think it's a great idea. All the late hop beers that I've ever had have been unbelievably good. So I think that this is going to turn out to be a really, really nice beer. The malt bill on it's incredible. It's a little bit bigger than a normal American amber ale by about 5 to 10 points. But I think that it's going to end up being a really, really nice beer. So that being said, I've got probably 10 minutes left in the boil now. Or excuse me, 10 minutes left in the mash. So I need to probably attend to that. I'll be back. I'll do some video of the actual process here in just a little bit, and maybe show you some of the processes I use in my recirculation and things like that. Specifically my Whirlpool and things like that I do that other people might not actually be able to do. So anyway, that's what we're doing. That's the recipe. All right, guys. Here's what we're doing right now. We are vorloffing, basically. I am recirculating the mash. I've just got a piece of Reflectix that I had cut out sitting there to catch it so it doesn't hit, bury a hole right through the middle. I batch sparge, so that doesn't really matter, but I'm trying to set the grain bed, and it's easier to do that if it's not boring a hole through the middle. So basically we're coming out that valve, which I have wide open, down the tubing, in through here, through the pump, through this valve. I've got this valve cracked about a quarter of the way, back up through this hose, back up in through here, and back out that tubing, which is just sitting on top of the mash. And that right there sets the grain bed. Right now we got a really nice color. It's going to come out, it's going a little darker than I thought, but it'll probably mellow once I actually sparge. So anyway, I've got to get to it. I've been going for a few minutes. I'll do this for about 10 minutes and let it set the grain bed really good, and then we'll pump over into the boil kettle from here. I'll stop it coming back in here and just move that back into the end valve of the thing. Alright guys, we have I've already pulled out the first runnings. They're in the boil kettle. Looks like I got right at 4 gallons. There's a little bit of like water at the top, looks like. So right at 4 gallons in the first sparge. I've got to get to like 8.5, probably 8.5, maybe even 9 gallons today. I'd like to get a little more than 8.5 because it's cold, and when it's cold, a lot of times you lose a lot more boil off, or you boil off a lot more in that case. So my first runnings were 19.5 bricks. Haven't done the calculation, but that's just under 1080. So pretty good, looking pretty good so far as what my being on target as far as my efficiency and stuff goes. I've put in like basically boiling water And you can tell this thermometer's off about 1.5 degrees. You have to add 1.5 degrees to it. And it's sitting at 160. How is it looking like? 160. 2, 4, 6, almost 260. That's probably 165. Plus 1.5 degrees, so about 67 or 68, which is about what I like to do. Stop the enzyme activity and let it go. So finish the sparge. Got about 3 or 4 minutes left on the sparge. Letting it sit. I'll recirculate again. Then do the runnings into the mash tun, or into the boil kettle. I'm gonna start boiling here in just a second too. I'll turn the flame on this in just a second and let it start boiling. Cool. All right, guys. Here we are. Just started a boil. You can see there, maybe, I don't know. It's rolling in there. Anyway, right now I collected. It's like 9.5 gallons. That's a little bit more than I probably need, but I'm trying to be safe because I don't know what my boil off is going to be. So I'm guessing with this cold weather and the winds blowing pretty decent, that I'm going to get around at least 2 gallons of boil off. So 2.5 will work. We'll see. I had it figured for 9, I think. So we'll see. I had it figured for 9 gallons of boil off, but I don't know for sure. We'll see how it goes. I think my efficiency is going to be pretty good. First runnings were 1078. Second runnings were 1044. Third runnings, I got a couple of gallons out of them, and I haven't tested them yet. But they're going to be probably in the 1020 range, give or take. So anyway, that's where we're at. We got a 90-minute boil, so I'll come back when we add our first hop addition, which will be in 70 minutes. So yeah, we are 70 minutes into the boil, well, 71.5 minutes into the boil, and I just put in the 20-minute hop addition, which was the 1/2 ounce of Centennial and a 1/2 ounce of Amarillo. At this time, I am going to start my recirculation Whirlpool. So I'll open up my vents there, open up that. So open this, pump is on, pump is off at the moment. So I'll flip the pump on so that when I turn this on, that should give me, there she goes. So now we're whirlpooling, and I'll do that for about basically the last 20 minutes of the boil. It ain't gonna hurt anything. It gives it a chance to really sanitize the pump for about 15 or 20 minutes. The boil's going pretty good. It's foggy, can't really see anything. But as you can tell, we're down to about 7.5 gallons. I've got 20 minutes left in the boil, so it looks like I'm going to boil down about like I thought, about 2.5 gallons in this 90 minutes. So I've had a little bit of trouble with my propane tank. It's been trying to freeze up a little bit, so I've got it sitting kind of out in the sun. I've done a lot of different things, including sitting a heating pad on it, trying to keep it warm so that it didn't freeze. I shake it up every now and then, that helps. But we're whirlpooling. We do this thing occasionally, will kind of just stop pumping. It'll just kind of make a weird kind of a noise and stop pumping. So if it does it during this little thing, I'll actually hopefully get it on video and see if anybody knows what it is. I think it's just cavitating or something, because of the fact that it's running really, really hot water, you know, really, really hot work through there, but I don't know for sure. So anyway, we are whirlpooling for the last 20 minutes. I got another 6 minutes, and I got the steam from the thing. I got 6 minutes and 30 seconds left before my next hop addition, which will be 1 ounce of Amarillo and 1 ounce of Centennial and my yeast nutrient. So I also dropped in Whirlflock in the 20-minute edition too. A tablet and a piece of a tablet that was broken off in the pack, so I just tossed it in there too. Alright guys, it's flame out time. So what I like to do is reach around here, cut the flame off, and it's going to be hard to do with one hand, so you have to bear with me. Then once I get the flame off. Then I like to toss in the hops. I don't know if you even saw that or not. So, toss in the hops. I'll give them a quick stir. I'm whirlpooling at the moment. And I'm going to continue to whirlpool. So, I'm going to put just an extra lid that I've got over the top of that and let it whirlpool for 15 minutes, which I think is something that Jake didn't do. He basically immediately cooled it. So what I'm going to do is set my timer. Let's see, we're here, still going. I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. And we're going to whirlpool it hot for 15 minutes. See what happens. Right now we are still at, basically boiling temperatures. It looks like it's at, let me get in there close and see. It's, see, right at 207-ish. And you add basically 5.5 degrees on that one. So it's, at boiling temperatures. So I'm going to crack this lid just a little. Mostly just so stuff doesn't fall in there. I don't want to, I basically want the steam to still kind of escape. But I want to make sure stuff doesn't fall in there. So lid doesn't fit perfect, which is fine. But we're going to whirlpool for 15 minutes, and then I'll kick on my immersion chiller, which I've already hooked up here. That's the inline, that's the outline, and I catch the first, I don't know, 5 or 10 gallons of stuff in the water bucket there, and I use it to clean. So, and I'm tripping over buckets. My garage is an absolute mess. So anyway, let's let that run for 15 minutes, and we'll be back. Alright guys, we are just over 15 minutes into the hot whirlpool. So I'm going to go ahead and cut on the cool water here in just a second. But I wanted to show you that just below 7 gallons is what we ended up with. The temperature is, it says 185 basically. But you have to add 5.5 degrees, so it's like 190, 191, something like that. So this stays really plenty hot. You don't have to worry about anything. And it's going to definitely isomerize some alpha acids. But at this point, it's probably getting to the point where it's not going to anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and walk out here. And I just have a whole little garden tap here. I cut my water on just a little bit, just enough to get it flowing. It doesn't have to be on very fast. Maybe I need to turn it on just a little bit faster than that. Let's see. Is it pushing? What are we doing? Oh, there we go. We had a kink, which is not good. I just forced a ton of water through there, but yeah, it's going way too fast now. So let's. Okay, so I just turned the cold water on over there. My tap's over there. You may have a little glare, and I just run it straight up here into my end. There's a little drip out here, but that's no big deal. That's on the outside. I'm not worried about it. Comes back out up here, goes through the coil in there, out the out valve, and I always save the first like 10 gallons or so if I can get. I save it until it stops being really hot water. I'll save it. So now that we're doing that, we're basically cooling. You can see, let's see if I can get in there, see if you can see it. I doubt it, but you can see possibly right there that where the whirlpool's really going. So we got a little bit of circulation, which is good. Now, what I'm going to do is just put the top on it again, just so that it, like I said, nothing falls in there, and let it do it in its cooling. So I'm just gonna start my timer and just see how long it takes to cool it. I want to get this down. See, right now we've dropped, just in the few minutes it's been there, we've dropped what, Let's see, we were at 85, so 10. We dropped 20. It's working its way towards 25 degrees in a very short amount of time. Yeah, we've dropped 25 degrees now in about, I don't know, a minute and a half. And basically you want to get below 140 very quickly, and we're already working our way that way. We're working our way towards 140 in about 2 minutes. So I'll come back when all this is done. Alright guys, we are, let's look at the timer, 20 minutes into cooling. And as you can tell, it is, I don't know, working its way towards 80 degrees. It's right at 75 on the thing, you have to have 5 degrees. So it's working its way towards 80 degrees. And that's the problem I'm having with this immersion chiller, is that it just doesn't, I'm only using half of it basically to cool the wort. If we look at it, you can see half of it is above the wort. So I'm just not getting an effective use of the chiller. So I've got to fix that, period. I mean, I'm getting down in 20 minutes to you know, a pitchable range. I mean, 80 degrees is too hot, but by the time I transfer it into the fermenter and then transfer it, move it around a little bit, it'll be, you know, another 10 to 15 degrees cooler by then. So anyway, I'm about to kill the Whirlpool. I'm about to kill the Whirlpool. I'll sanitize that, by the way. Kill the Whirlpool, and in fact, I'll just kill it now. Kill the Whirlpool, and then let that. I'll let the chiller keep running, but basically, I'm just letting the Whirlpool finish out and let that hops and brake material settle to the bottom, hopefully, so that I don't get it in the fermenter. But what I am going to do is, I got my fermenter, my butter bottle here. I've been swirling this thing up. Got my foam, got my star sand in there. I will do that, but I've also got all my stuff in here. I've got a colander, kind of a mesh strainer, and my funnel in here, sanitizing, getting all good and sanitized in my bucket of star sand. And I will put the funnel in the top of this, put the strainer inside of that, and then pump the wort into that. What that will do is, if any of the hot brake or some of the brake material or the hot pellets get in there, the mesh strainer will catch it. Just a secondary form of filtering before it goes into the fermenter. Alright guys, so that's the end of the brew day. I ended up with 6 gallons in the fermenter. The cone worked out really well. I did a full 15-minute hot Whirlpool. Then I started to chill. It took just about 20 minutes to get down to about, I think it was like 75 to 80 degrees. I'll probably say it in the video, but I think it was right around 80 degrees or so, which is part of the problem with the immersion chiller. It's just not working effectively. At least I don't think. It needs to be much faster, and I think it's just because I'm not getting the full wort, the chiller down in the bottom of the wort and using the whole thing. I mean, it's a 50-foot chiller, but I'm using about 25 feet of it. So that's a problem, clearly. I'll give you the first, second, and third runnings. It was 19.5 bricks for the first runnings, 1078, 1044, 11 bricks, second runnings, and then I got a gallon and a half or gallon and a quarter at the end, and they were 6 bricks, so 1024. So there were a lot of sugars left in there. I got 17.5 bricks as my original gravity. And I haven't done the math on that, so I'm guessing it's going to be, let's see, well, that's 1070. I'll look and make sure. Quick math. 17.5 times 4. Yeah, 1070. So, so right at a slightly higher than the anticipated. It was supposed to be 1066, but 4 points is not bad. Still turned out to be about the same beer without too much of a difference. Everything went great. I'm actually all cleaned up and ready to go. So we'll see how it is. I like the beer. Smells amazing, by the way. The Centennial is a great hop late in the boil, so I think I'm going to use it a little bit more often late in the boil. Everything went great today overall. I didn't have any problems with the pump, which I usually do. So I don't know why that was, but it worked out really good. I'm glad it did. Cleanup's done. Everything's drying out, and we're good to go. We lost like 3 degrees on the mash tun, 3 to 4 degrees, 3.5 degrees over the course of an hour, which is not too bad when it was in the 30s today. It's actually warmer right now than it was 6 hours ago. So very strange weather out here. But anyway, good brew day. Jake, I'll let you know when it's done. I've already pitched. I meant to tell you, I didn't have WLP 001, so I used, hang on buddy. So I used SAF-L US 05 instead of the WLP 001. Come here, buddy. We'll get you in the video. Come here. This is my son, Zach. Ooh, the floor's probably cold, isn't it? This is my son, Zach.
Okay.
Tell him hi. Say hello, homebrew community.
Hi, hello, homebrew community.
And we'll see you guys later. Cheers.
Yeah.
Don't cheers. Don't cheers. No, say cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, guys. We are just about a little over 15 minutes into the hot whirlpool. So I'm going to go ahead and start the cool water. If you'll look, we're down to, it says 185, but you have to add 5.5, so we're right at 190. And I am, and I just farted there on camera.